2 days out, and another milestone has been hit. This time, it's the Blackshirts.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, where football season is right around the corner. And visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now.
All right, welcome in. It is Tuesday of game week, and a special Tuesday it is because it's really a Thursday. We are 2 days away from Nebraska's season opener coming up at Arrowhead Stadium, 8 p.m. on ESPN against Cincinnati Thursday night. If you don't know that by now, I'm sorry. We've been talking about this for hundreds of days, and it is close. We are 1 day closer. Nebraska is all but done with practice for the week. By the way, I'm Mitch Sherman
are you
from The Athletic.
That,
Connor Happer
Mitch, and I'm Connor Happer, yes. Are you saying that the hay's in the barn, Mitch?
I think I said that. I think I said that yesterday at the media availability. I was having a conversation with Kevin Suits of KOLN Television in Lincoln, and Kevin turned to me and said, well, that wasn't really all that interesting after the interviews. It was a portion of the interviews. Dana Holgerson was first at the mic, and then we heard from a series of players. John Butler was mixed in, several of the captains. So it was Henry Lutovsky, Dylan Raiola, Dane Key, the offensive captains, defensive captains Sierra Wright and Marquise Buford. And we also heard from Williams Winery, who we'll talk about here in the show at some point today. And yeah, I mean, everything's been said at this point. So we're not going to dwell on what they had to say because it wasn't all that interesting. They've said it all at this point. With Winery, it was the first time getting to talk to him in that setting. So maybe that was interesting. It was also the first time that he's done anything like that, from a media standpoint. So those are not always the most revealing moments, unless you are Archie Wilson, in which case it's very
incredibly revealing. Yeah.
But anyway, the hay's in the barn. That's what I said to Kevin. I'll say it now, but keep listening because this is going to be an interesting podcast. Shout out right at the top to John Bullock. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
He made the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 53-man roster on Monday. John Bullock is in the NFL to start the season. So great for him. I think back to a couple of years ago when Matt Rule took over as Nebraska's coach, and John Bullock was this guy that people in the program talked about as a player, as a good player who wasn't getting on the field. And Rule took a look at him and said, yeah, well that guy can play. And he did. And now he's in the NFL as an undrafted free agent. So those are great stories.
He was pretty adamant at the time that he was an NFL player, and he turned out to be right. We were like, what? Who is this person? I've never heard of him before. If there was anybody who was going to make an impact, it'd be his brother, Alex, who was a wide receiver at the time. And he did end up making an impact, but man, super cool. An undrafted free agent making the initial 53. I mean, that's pretty rare. So kudos to John Bullock for working his butt off.
Yep. So let's go through some storylines and developments that have come out of camp that are most likely to affect this game, Thursday, week 1, Nebraska, Cincinnati. So camp's over. Really, the week of practice is just about over. Nebraska's going to practice today, a lighter workout. Matt Rule will address the media late morning, and then they're off. Tomorrow, they get on a bus. They're going to walk through in Lincoln, and it will be Nebraska's first bus ride to a game in quite a while. At least bus ride to a road or neutral site venue. They fly to Iowa. They fly everywhere. And they're going to take a bus. They're going to fly home after the game in KC, but bussing down tomorrow on Wednesday. So I think perhaps the number one storyline that has emerged from this month, ready to affect the game on Thursday night, are the emergence of Nebraska's newcomers. And I'm not just talking about the transfers who came in that were expected to make a difference, that being Dane Key, Rocco Spindler, Isaiah Hunter, Marquez Watson-Trent, and Dasan McCullough. All of those players are in starting roles on Thursday night. I mean, there are more. So you're talking about Andrew Marshall, who wasn't necessarily a lock at all to come in and be a starter, the cornerback from Idaho. You're talking about Williams Winery, who may not start, but is going to play a lot at defensive end in his hometown on Thursday night. You're talking about Jalen George, a top backup on the D-line. Isaiah Mosey, a true freshman running back who's going to get time on the field. Cade Petschak, the defensive lineman, who is set to skip a red shirt as a backup on the D-line. TJ Lateef, the backup quarterback. Jameer Khan, a top backup in the secondary. And of course, Archie Wilson, the punter, who we didn't even know about until about 3 months ago. That's a big list, Connor, of players who are new to the program and will be in impactful roles here to start the season.
Yeah, and I think it should be noted, that first group of guys that you mentioned, Dane Key, Rocco Spindler, and Isaiah Hunter, Marquez Watson-Trent, Dasan McCullough, like those guys, those would be the guys that you are really, you're depending on quite a bit. You need them with 100% certainty to be hits, and everything that we've heard so far throughout both camps, whether it be spring or fall, has told us that they're dependable players. And then when you get that many players out of the transfer portal, you hope that all of them hit, obviously, and all of them hit right away. But ideally, you don't want to have to lean on every single one of them to be as good or better than they've ever been anywhere else, right? So I think Williams Winery is a great example of this. The expectations were all over the board for him. We know that the ceiling is really high. Didn't play a whole lot last year at Missouri, but an incredible, recruiting profile for him. He comes in, not a lot. Like you're not telling him, hey, look, you have to start when you get here immediately. But he comes in, works hard, changes who he is according to Matt Rule. Completely different player from when he got here, and works himself into a position where he is a starter or starter caliber type of player for Nebraska coming up in their opener, right? That's a really great position, I think, to come from. And a couple freshmen mixed their way into that conversation as well. You didn't even mention Cortez Mills, who who goes right into that conversation as well. Probably will get some playing time this week. So yeah, I think that's a really good group of guys, and their impact will be felt from game one on.
It's been a little quiet around Cortez Mills. We heard a lot about him in the spring. The fall has been more quiet, and I think that's probably just because he's a known commodity in Nebraska. We were wowed by his abilities. Like, he's potentially the next Ja'Cory Barney level player. And I don't know if that's fair to Cortez to just say, well, you're from Miami, you can play the slot. And I believe he's listed on the depth chart behind Key. I may be
I'll find
wrong. We'll check that here during the show. But his playing style is like Barney, and it seems to be explosive, fast. They can run him on swing passes, reverses, but he can get down the field too. So yeah, definitely a true freshman who's going to impact things. I also didn't mention Kyle Cunanan, and I should, because it's another newcomer who's in a starting position that's tremendously important for Nebraska, the kicker who transferred in from Charlotte. So it's a high number of players new to Nebraska that are going to impact things right out of the gate in the opener.
Yeah. By the way, you were right. Cortez Mills right behind Dane Key on the wide receiver list. And then on the other side, it's Isaiah Hunter with Quinn Clark right behind him.
Yeah. Right. And Barney at the slot with who's Bonner. Two in the slot. Yeah. Wood, Janiron Bonner. What an interesting like lightning and thunder combo you have there. Bonner in the slot is a completely different defensive situation.
I love that setup. Yeah, it's a totally different weapon. Yeah, for sure. So I think you've used Bonner as more of like a gadget weapon, type of guy, not a gadget in the conventional way that you think about it, but an H back almost that type of deal. And then obviously Barney is just a complete wide receiver at this point. So yeah, totally different.
Okay. One more storyline before we take a break. The return of Teddy Prohaska. When we talked about Teddy Prohaska through the offseason, my thought on it was anything they get from him is extra.
Totally.
That he's going to come in and be somebody who can maybe play 20 to 30 reps a game. He can help you at one of the tackle spots. Maybe he can be a swing tackle. That was maybe a little bit misguided in my thinking to believe he could be a swing, because I really think with his body and the way that the issues he's had, you want to allow him to train at one position. But no, he is Nebraska's starting right tackle. And he had the camp, the month of August, staying healthy, that allowed him to just take a spot. So in 4 years at Nebraska, Teddy Prohaska has had 3 season-ending injuries, and he's had 4 years, all 4, because the 1 year he wasn't hurt, he was not entirely back at the start of the season. So it took several weeks. This would have been Rule's first year in 2023, where it took him until mid-season before he really got into playing condition. So all 4 years in the program affected by injury. He's been knocked out in preseason camp for the whole year. Mm-hmm. And there he is, ready to go, made it through to the opener. You just really hope that he can stay healthy, because I think if he does, that they've got just such a tremendous bonus with his experience and leadership out there, and his ability to move people.
Totally agree. I mean, I'd say the exact same thing. Like, we talked about it on the show several months ago. It's like, yeah, I just can't depend on him. Anything you get out of him at this point should be just viewed as icing on the cake. And if they feel comfortable and he feels comfortable enough to get in there and be their starter, I mean, what a gigantic boost for them. It makes you feel better about everybody around him too. Because they've had to create depth throughout the course of his absence, right? Like, you have to plan on him not being there. So the whole position group is better for it. And obviously he is too. So I hope for his sake that it all comes together and he, plays a complete season. But for the entire outlook of the room, yeah, it's much better than it was several months ago.
He's the guy, along with Javen Wright on defense, where anytime that a play is over and he's slow to get up, you just hold your breath. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be that way for a couple of games before, people can take a breath and say, okay, like this is fine. These guys are like every other player, and injuries are part of the game. But man, you want to see Teddy be able to make it through for the entire season. All right, let's come back. Blackshirts. That's on the docket next.
Yeah, but first, a word from our friends at the FanDuel Sportsbook, where today is a holiday. I bet you didn't know that. It's a holiday. It is FanDuel Futures Day, ladies and gentlemen. A brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and postseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, somebody to make the playoff, not make the playoff, something like that. I love those type of bets, by the way. Or you're ready to crown your Super Bowl champion right now in August. This is your moment. So maybe this is the year for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to finally get over the hump and win the Super Bowl. You can take a crack at that. Maybe you like a team like, I don't know, I've called the Detroit Lions a bad vibes team this year. Maybe you like them to fall all the way out of the playoff picture. You could take advantage of that. That's a future for you today. It's a holiday, ladies and gentlemen, or you could parlay division winner, dark horses, whatever you'd like to do. Head to the FanDuel app today. Start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only, and that day is today. FanDuel, play your game. All right, welcome back. Connor Hamper, Mitch Sherman with you here on a Tuesday. Blackshirts awarded yesterday. The Blackshirts aren't quite as revealing as they used to be, considering we've already gone through a round of who's the single-digit number people and who are the team captains. But yet we do have to award starters on the defensive side of the ball. 10 of them.
There was some surprise. There was some suspense.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that. There are a couple. I mean, according to my math, there's one or two guys here. I had it written down earlier. There's one or two who won the Triple Crown, right? They got single digit, team captain, and black shirt. Sierra Wright, I think, is
Deshaun Singleton.
Deshaun Singleton is another one of those guys. So I think there's two.
Buford also. Those are your three captains on defense, correct?
Yeah. So you have some Triple Crown winners on defense. So those three are black shirts. Andrew Marshall is a black shirt, which is means he's a starter on defense. Malcolm Hartzog, Marquez Watson Trent, Javen Wright, Dasan McCullough, Elijah Judy, and Cam Lenhart. That's
Nebraska's defense. They expect this defense to be so good that they're only going to play 10 in the opening game. They're going to come out in a 2-3-5 set to start. John Butler is taunting everyone and saying, we're good with 10.
Yeah.
10 players.
So we talked about the depth chart the other day, and you said, hey, if you're listed first on here and you have an or, then you're the starter. Well, that does not seem to be the case. Cam Lenhart gets the black shirt. Williams Winery doesn't, even though Winery's listed first.
Why did they put Winery first? What? I don't know. Why did they? Okay. I don't understand. So
maybe it's just they just put names on paper, and they're all playing starter caliber minutes at this point. But somebody does have to get the black shirt, and in this case, it was Lenhart.
I know all teams don't do this the same way, but on Monday, Oklahoma State released a depth chart, I believe, without any kind of commentary from its coaches. Mike Gundy, I expect, has his weekly press conference today, and Zane Flores, the Gretna product at quarterback, who has been in the program for 2 years, was listed at the number. Well, he was listed on the top line with an or between his name and Haas Haney, the transfer from TCU.
Nice.
And everybody said Zane's the starter. He won the job. There's an or. So I don't know what that applies to Nebraska. I don't know what kind of mind games or
it's okay.
What they're doing.
It's static. It moves. They're all playing. They're all quote unquote starters. It's just that you can't say that you have 20 starters because you don't. There's only 11 people who get to start the game, and there's only 10 black shirts. So
there should be 11 black shirts. By the way, they will play 11 on defense.
So the spot missing would be the spot that is occupied by Keona Davis, the other defensive tackle, or the defensive tackle spot. Keona Davis is the top guy on that group.
So maybe Davis and Winery, 96 and 97 on your roster, the Greek god looking duo at bookend for Nebraska. Maybe they're just holding it back for those two. They say, hey, there's all this talk about you guys. You look the part, go out and do it in a game, and then we'll give you black shirts, both of you. Now, I don't know that they're going to have 12 black shirts. And the other guy I think who could get one, or maybe has earned one, is Vincent Shavers at inside linebacker, who's dealing with a hamstring injury, and his status, it will be updated, I think, by Matt Rule on Tuesday when he visits with the media, but he's not on here. And I think he's probably a guy as a single digit, who could have a black shirt. But John Butler, the defensive coordinator, said on John Butler, he said on Monday that they're not going to water this down. Like, there was some conversation about having like 12 or whatever, and nope, they're not going that route. In fact, they went one less. They went with 10. Like, if there's another one out there, you better go earn it on Thursday night. I think that's the message to Keona Davis or Williams Winery or whoever it might be.
Yeah, every coach is sort of approached this one different, and I like this staff's approach because they're gonna do whatever it is they're going to do, and they're not going to like apologize for it. Like there's been previous coaching staffs who have just tried to handle it with kid gloves. Okay, let's ask Charlie McBride, or let's ask Tom Osborne or something like that. Let's see what's going on, and we'll have this kind of weird mix of what we like and what the old guys like. No, they're just like, here's the way we're gonna do it. Here's the black shirts, no mind games, and then it's a moving thing every week. So you might lose it, you might gain it. It's our practice uniform. So that's good.
Right. All right, let's do several more, like 4 more. We'll do a couple right now of these developments in camp that are going to matter on Thursday night. Clarity at running back. Quentin Ives came into camp, came out of the summer as the favorite to win the backup job, and then he got hurt the first day of practice back in July. Mekhi Nelson emerged. Isaiah Mozee steadily improved and thrived at running back after the move from wide receiver, the true freshman. Those are the top 3 at this moment. Emmett Johnson, Mekhi Nelson, Isaiah Mozee. Big development.
Pretty clearly. And then, there is the assumed guys who were going to start who weren't listed at the top of the depth chart. Elijah Pritchett and Willis McGahee. I think I'd throw him in that category as well, who's listed 3rd at the jack linebacker behind McCullough and Jordan Ochoa.
I think what that says is Nebraska has depth now. And if you're just a very good player who's shown it in the past, that's not enough. That you have to put it out there all the time, every day in practice. And these are different situations. One, Pritchett at left tackle is somebody new to the program who's been learning the ways of Nebraska. And it's been, a 1 step forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, half step back kind of thing for him most of this offseason. And he goes into Thursday night seemingly as of Gunnar Gatula is going to start at left tackle for Nebraska. So Pritchett's coming off the bench. And McGahee, I don't really know exactly what happened there. I think some of this is just that Jordan Ochoa had a great camp and they really like what he gives them. Maybe his skill set is a little bit different than McGahee, but McGahee at the end of last season, like he was a shoo-in to be a black shirt right now, be a starting caliber player. They went out and got McCullough. So, that's competition for him, but surprised to see him on the 3 line. I think you can expect that to change as the season goes along, but it just backs up that overriding message in this program now that you want to play. All right, go out and do it Monday through or Sunday through Thursday.
And then maybe most importantly, through camp, there was no injuries to top line starter caliber players. I mean, they've lost a couple guys. I guess we don't know what Mac Markway would have been this camp. Could have worked his way to that point, but he had the knee flare up back on the first day of camp and has to get that surgically repaired. Gage Stenger, a special teams player, going to miss the season. And Gibson Pyle, who Rule mentioned that he had a pretty good camp, also going to miss the season, but wasn't projected to be on that top line. So they've stayed healthy. I mean, I think that's one of that's your top goal as a coach as you go throughout camp.
Yep. Shavers, the lingering hamstring is what Rule described it as on Thursday, and doesn't seem to be something that's going to keep him out for an extended period of time. But his availability for the opener is right now in question. All right, let's take a break. Come back, talk about one more of these storylines, and then we'll get to that CBS confidential conversation that was made public on Monday. Very interesting stuff. All right, right now we have an important request for you. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. So this is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, answer questions about our advertisers. Go to Locked On Podcasts, plural with an s.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's Locked On Podcasts, FanDuel.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks again for helping us out. And we have a message from Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost your blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast. On average, in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when that moment is right. If the traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use the code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege. Promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. All right, welcome back. Third segment of this Locked On Nebraska podcast on a Tuesday. Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer with you. Hey, we teased the CBS thing. We'll get to that in a second. Final storyline that we want to get to in this episode from the month of August that is certain to affect the outcome on Thursday night in Kansas City. The special teams races seemingly are settled. The one at punter, Connor, has been settled for a long time. Archie Wilson, the Aussie, is your guy. He's going to go out there. He was at Arrowhead on Friday night to check out the Chiefs in their preseason game against the Chicago Bears. So this will no longer be his first football game ever, witnessing the one that he's playing in Nebraska's season opener. He's the guy at punter. People are expecting big things. I imagine Archie is going to get quite a cheer when he heads out, or maybe when he kicks the first ball, when he rolls out with his left or his right foot and kicks it. Looks like Kyle Cunanan, as I mentioned, is the kicker. He beat out John Hole and Tristan Alvano, much to the dismay of Gus Johnson. Nebraska has a new snapper, Kevin Gallick, the transfer from New Hampshire. He's in to, hopefully for Nebraska, fix a lot of the issues that happened a year ago in the snapping area. And then Camden Cook, not to be forgotten, the backup punter, is Nebraska's holder.
Yes. Apparently he's doing a very good job at that too. So
he's a good holder.
Yeah, he's a really good holder. So that's good. No real surprises on that front.
All right, so what do you think of this thing that debuted on YouTube? We're getting like big new things on YouTube every week. Last week it was House Rules with Matt Rule, the podcast. On Monday it was CBS Sports putting out a pretty in-depth, interesting look behind the scenes at Nebraska's operation. You had a room in the Osborne facility with chairs, and in those chairs were several of the secondary mainstays: Sierra Wright, Marquise Buford, Deshaun Singleton, Malcolm Hartzog, all the vets in that group, and then Dylan Raiola and Emma Johnson in the room. Dylan walked in the middle of this thing as they were talking about him and how he didn't have the same kind of swag that the defensive backs had. So
quarterback swag.
I thought this was interesting. I thought it was insightful. Like, this stuff sometimes can kind of be a swing and a miss if you don't get like what appear to be genuine conversations. But Sierra Wright, to me, like, is just such a personality. He really is magnetic, and like he was like maybe at the center of the conversations. Told the story about being in Space Jam and some of his acting days in California. So I liked it. I liked what CBS did here.
Yeah, I do too. I was most curious, because Dylan and Emmett Johnson sort of crashed that conversation. I've always been curious about how, Dylan has always felt a little bit kind of separate from the team in just, he stands out, right? He's the 5-star. It's a different thing when you're the quarterback. So I've always been curious as to how his teammates sort of interact with him and how they treat him. And I think I got a pretty clear picture of that. And it's good. They know that he's kind of a weirdo. He's they know that he's kind of a nerd, but he's their nerd, they have his back for sure. That was what I took away from that conversation. And there were some funny quips, in the entire thing, but I've always been curious as to how Dylan, is when nobody's around, you know what I mean? And I think you get a pretty good insight there.
Yeah, I mean, they knew the cameras were on.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I don't.
I know, I get it. I think that was generally how the stuff goes when the cameras are off. At least that's the feeling that I got. Sierra Wright's a very good Well, Sierra Wright's an actor.
Sierra Wright, the actor.
He's literally an actor. He's natural in front of the cameras, but I don't think he's such a great actor that he can put on a show that isn't representative of the way that things are when they're really going at
it. It didn't seem fake. They have no problem, throwing jabs at him because he's the guy with the Adidas deal and they asked him about the Mahomes thing and he's like, do you actually what's the deal with this? And I thought that was good. That conversation is going to keep happening, and I'm teeing you up for your rant right now. But for some reason, this is the thing that college football fans can't get enough of: Dylan Raiola looking like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. First, I want to ask you about Emmett Johnson as a golfer.
Not good.
They went to the golf course, and Emmett was playing with a bunch of quarterbacks, and he needs to take some lessons, or go find the golf coach or something like that. And maybe it's better if Nebraska's running back is a bad golfer.
He needs to probably get the sand out of the cart and make sure that there's not too many holes in the ground when he's hacking away. That would be my advice.
All right, Dylan and the Mahomes conversation in the way that it was presented in the CBS. This thing's 40 minutes long, but in the way that it was presented in the conversation, I thought it was fun. It was natural. It came up. The DBs brought it up. They asked him, "Hey, what's the deal with you and Mahomes? Are you guys really? You really cool together? Why do you do the same pregame warm up as him?" And Dylan was like, "Yeah, it's fine." He said that he described the relationship that him and Patrick Mahomes had. He was just chopping it up, as Archie Wilson would say, chopping it up with his teammates there, and it was enjoyable to watch. And I think put it in context. There was some good perspective. I think you get a real look at how Dylan feels about that stuff. He's not taking himself too seriously. And then after the video came out, you had all kinds of media outlets like Bleacher Report and Yahoo who just made a meme out of this. And it was screaming across social media with a Dylan's quote: "I can't get mad at God for making me look like him." And if you didn't hear it in the conversation that occurred in this room, you don't understand. You don't get the context that was needed. And of course, the internet just exploded the response to those memes. Here's my thing. The college football season is here. This stuff is fine for March or April, but Texas, the number 1 team in the country, is playing at Ohio State, the number 3 team and defending national champ this week. There are a ton of great games all weekend, starting on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You got college football. Why are we getting mad if you're a college football fan about Dylan Raiola and Patrick Mahomes at this point? It is so dumb, and it annoys me that people are still talking about this.
This is why
Dylan can talk about it and it's fine.
This is why engagement farming exists, because anytime Dylan Raiola plays a game, they'll just be a tweet. It'll say, "Bro thinks he's Pat Mahomes" or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's the same 10 to 12 things that for some reason children on the internet enjoy consuming every single day, and it gets engagement. And so what you're saying, I agree with, is these companies, these entities with a lot of reach probably don't need to put it out there, but it's easy money. Like it's easy clicks every single time for them. And I don't know why people are so interested in this. I have no idea why this is the story that people
I no longer find it interesting. I'll just say that.
Nobody does, but there's like idiots. There's like 12-year-olds on the internet who click on it every time and say like, well, that guy is not Patrick Mahomes. Like, I get it. We already knew that a year ago. So I don't know why that but I know why it keeps happening. And it's because people, for some godforsaken reason, continue to engage with it.
LSU's playing Clemson on Saturday night. Notre Dame's playing Miami on Sunday.
Yeah,
there's stuff for you to talk about.
This is not stopping, by the way. I mean, this will be happening in week 8, theoretically as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just prepare my brain for Thursday night when it's going to come up on a level that we've not seen, because, hey, guess what? Dylan Raiola is playing at Patrick Mahomes Stadium.
Yep. Yeah. People are going to lose their minds over that one. That'll be fun. It'll be good. At least you and I will be there, and we won't have to watch it on television.
Will there be a pregame moment? But now I'm talking about it. Will there be a pregame moment between Dylan and Patrick that sets the internet ablaze?
Stay tuned to find out. Cannot wait to see. Thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith. He's got it all there. Find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.